Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Dallas Reppin 52, Ray Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens.
As always, I'm going to have Brendan repping 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks.
We got a great episode for you guys today. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties last week. We did record an episode, but when we went to edit it, the whole thing was just fucked to all hell.
Yeah.
So we are going to do kind of a recap on some of that stuff. Our games of the weeks. We're going to do the same for this week. Obviously, our game of the weeks. Looking ahead, especially as we approach playoff football. We are going to talk hockey this week, as that should have been last week, but we're going to talk it this week instead. And college football, as they wrapped up their conference championship games. We had Army-Navy this weekend, so a lot going on. A lot that we're going to try and cover. Hope you all have a good time.
Yep.
Alrighty, well, let's just dive right in. Let's talk some hockey, as It is December, so we're about 2 months into the regular season, and I've had some really interesting things.
Yeah.
Some that aren't as surprising, so we're just going to talk about how the season's shaping up so far.
So we meant to talk about this last week, and we did, and then obviously had some issues. Lucky for us, last week there was no news for hockey. This week, a lot of stuff has happened in the hockey world. So we'll quickly just cover some news and see where we're at with standings and stuff. First bit of news is very minor, doesn't really matter. The Nashville Predators have traded a defenseman Spencer Stanley to the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for a 2027 third-round pick. Truth be told, I don't know who Spencer Stanley is, so I don't know how much matters. And then another trade that happened, it's a little bigger, involving the Edmonton Oilers, is the Oilers are sending Stuart Skinner a Brett Kulak and a 2029 second-round pick to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for goaltender Tristan Jarry and Sam Poling, a forward. Stuart Skinner is a goalie, and Brett Kulak is a defender. So pretty big trade. Both sides sending goalies. Obviously, the Oilers, we've talked about in the past. Really, the one problem with that team is their goaltending. Not sure how much this is going to fix that. But they at least tried something. Can't fault them for trying. I just don't know how much that is actually going to fix the current problem.
Yeah, I mean, they've had this problem a long time. This is not their first goalie change. You kind of need help on the defensive side of the puck. It's just the reality. The best goaltenders need a solid defensive front. When they're one-on-one a lot, they're going to lose. It's kind of the nature of it.
It's not to help.
I mean, good luck. I don't think it's going to fix the issue, though.
I don't either. But that wasn't the last trade that was made. The last one we're going to talk about is probably the biggest of the bunch, as the Vancouver Canucks, who have frankly sucked this season, are trading their best player, Quinn Hughes, who's a defenseman, to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for prospect Zeev Buium, forward Marco Rossi, and then prospect forward Liam Ogren, and a first-round pick, and I believe this upcoming draft. So, two pretty young prospects going, and then a decent forward in Marco Rossi also in the package. Obviously, not something you want to see for Vancouver, having to trade their best player and probably one of the best D-man in the league. It's not really up for conversation. It's him and Cale Makar. However you want to rank that is up to you, but it's pretty much those two at the top. So no matter what this trade is going to look like, it's not going to be great for the Canucks just because, well, you're losing your best player. But all in all, I do think they got a decent return for it, but not something
I mean, they got a decent return. This is clearly we're trying to rebuild because they're not very good. They haven't been great in a very long time. Um, and in hockey, a lot like other sports, it's either win now or try to be something in 3 to 4 years. And that's what adding two prospects to your roster is. That's we want to be really great in like 3, 4 years.
Yeah, you added two prospects, a first round pick, and then another young but more established player. But it very much was a plan for the future on the Canucks side. On the Wild side, this is a fantastic trade. Um, in a division they're in, with the talent that's in that division, in order to
Yeah.
compete, you have to get better. And truthfully, I think the Wild did just get better. They're already a good team, so it'll be kind of interesting to see where we go with the rest of the year. In the Central, which is their division, but it's looking like it's going to be a bloodbath this year.
And that just makes good hockey. That's
Yeah,
just good hockey.
because as I mentioned, the Central, currently in the National Hockey League, the top three teams in the entire league are in the Central Division. Um, that would be the Colorado Avalanche leading the way, 33 games played, 55 points, pretty solid. 24 wins, 2 losses, and then 7 overtime losses. That's a pretty insane record currently. Um,
Yeah.
it's not something you see very often. Below them is the Dallas Stars, who are obviously really good. They have 22 wins, 7 losses, 5 OT losses for 49 points. Nothing to slouch at. And then behind them is the Minnesota Wild with 20 wins, 9 losses, 5 overtime losses for 45 points. So that division currently is just leading the way in hockey. It's not really close. And I think we're seeing, for Minnesota to compete, they had to make this move. They had to get better, and I think they really did. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll kind of see what the Stars and Avalanche do in response, because I don't think they're going to just let Minnesota get better without doing anything themselves.
Yeah, I think this was one of those moves where they looked at the competition around them and thought, yeah, we can compete on a league level, but can we compete within our own division? And the answer was kind of no.
Yeah,
With Rantanen and the Stars, McKinnon and the Avs, you need a little more power, and that's what they went out and got. So I think it will be interesting to see how they stack up now, what that level of competition brings, and how it elevates the entire division.
yeah, I'll be intrigued. It really is just those three at the top of that division. The rest of the division isn't awesome. Um, but when you look at how the playoffs work, not it's not a guarantee these three teams will be in the playoffs, just because of how it all works. I think currently Minnesota and Dallas do hold the two wild card spots, um, but the winner of each division goes, and then I think there's some other things that need to happen. But considering that two of these teams could be a first round elimination, or two of these teams are going to go against each other in the second round, it's kind of unfortunate, just considering how much better they are than currently everybody else. But
Yeah.
it does make for great hockey right now, especially looking around the league. Like Anaheim's a great story right now. They're leading the Pacific Division. A lot of young
And to be
guys.
as young as they are,
Yeah, a lot of young guys
and to be
leading their
leading the way
division.
out, yeah, that's
Carolina,
really great. It's a lot of Anaheim's been a lot of fun to watch this year.
yeah,
A lot
Anaheim
of fun.
has been great. Carolina is leading their division. They've been really good. Detroit is winning their division, which is a little surprising. Detroit has
It's a
not
little weird.
been
It's a little
great
weird.
as of late, but that unfortunately that division has just kind of hit a weird situation where the Florida Panthers, off of back-to-back cups, are kind of the surprise of the season right now. If you don't consider the Avalanche just having a historic record, the Panthers being as bad as they are is kind of the surprise. Obviously, they are dealing with a ton of injuries. Their
Yeah.
captain's hurt. They're just kind of dealing with some significant injuries that are really
I
hindering
think
them.
we're seeing the contrast of your captain being around all year versus not. The
Yeah.
Avs have been missing their captain for 3 years. This is the first season in 3 that he's been here from start to now, and they're playing at a historic level. The Panthers coming off a cup appearance, cup win. To be missing their captain, it's pretty rough.
Yeah. And then, yeah, that's pretty much the ones. And then, like, Vancouver has been easily the worst team in the league this year, which is really unfortunate because I did think coming into the season they had a good squad. But it's pretty clear that it just wasn't working. And we talked about Quinn Hughes. Quinn wanted traded. He did not want to be there.
Yeah.
You could see
Yeah.
it in his body language and the way he went out there. He didn't want to be there, which is really unfortunate because he was the captain of that team. And when the captain of your team has that kind of body language and that kind of demeanor,
You can't succeed,
yeah.
especially in the NHL where captains are so important. If they're unhappy and they don't want to be with a franchise anymore, I mean that team has no hope.
But I do think it is a little interesting that in the 2 games since he's left, they've won. So we're kind of seeing a little bit of a jump
Like,
there. I don't expect it to last very long.
no. And I
Um,
don't expect them to have a new captain anytime soon.
no. When a captain gets replaced, it does take a little bit to actually replace them. Um, Again, the NHL and teams in the NHL put a lot of attention to the captain. The captain has to be a leader and has to be somebody in that locker room that can lead and will lead.
And wants to lead.
It's not like the
So
NFL where you kind of just pick captains.
you just pick like 20 people.
The NHL, the captain is a very important um, honor. I think is the best way to put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
yeah, that's currently what's going on in the NHL. The last little bit of news is kind of an interesting one. Ex-Alabama head coach Nick Saban has purchased minority stake in the Nashville Predators. It's not like a huge thing, but it's always cool to see like ex-athletes, ex-people in sports kind of buy into other sports just to
Yeah.
keep the attention on things. So it's always cool. And then obviously Nick Saban is a huge person and a huge personality in the sports world, so it's a pretty cool little thing that happened.
Yeah. He's high energy. And it's always good for teams to have kind of new ownership, new blood, new life. A lot of times it comes with like upgrades and equipment and facilities and things like that. So it's always great to see.
And he's not a hockey head coach, but he is a damn good head coach. And if you're good at coaching, you're good at coaching, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think he could coach in the NHL, but like just
You
having
know how
that
to motivate
around,
guys,
having
know
that
how to
around
rally
the
guys.
building as someone that you can turn to on like rallying guys, as you said, and then stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's a resource for the Predators, so that's really cool to see as well. But that is pretty much what's going on in the NHL right now. Kind of a busy week, considering we're only 2 months into the season and we're already starting to see some pretty big trades happen and some pretty big
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. I mean, we're 2 months in. That's pretty early into hockey season. Um, but to see it take the start that it has, because often hockey can start really slow. So for it to come out popping like this, the games have been really great. Great level of competition. Obviously, the top of the league is very much standing out.
Yeah,
It's just been a great season so far, and to know where they're going, and to have the Olympics coming up here in a couple months.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. This is a really great time to get into hockey.
Yeah, the Olympics will be very interesting, assuming that they figure out the small arena situation in Milan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I imagine that's not going to hold anything back. That's just a guess. I
I
think
just didn't quite think that one through.
the NHL was annoyed, but I don't think that's going to prevent them from sending players.
No.
At the end of the day, I just
I
think
did find it interesting. So like any sporting event, the Olympics uses like they put out commercials.
yes,
And a big one, if you watch primetime football right now, is clips from Four Nations Canada versus US.
yeah,
Um,
which I
and
think
some of the
is
incidents that occurred to kind of get hockey hyped up for the Olympics,
I
which
think
has
it's
been a lot of fun.
I think
It's a lot of fun.
that's a really good marketing strategy. It's a
Yeah,
really if you want to market well, that is how you do it. Just want to put it
because
out there.
what I can't think of the actor's name, but he's like, so what are we going to the Olympics for? And the answer's supposed to be like a gold medal, and they're like Canadian tears, and he's like, wait, what did Canada do?
Oh, it's
What's the problem?
is it John
And
Hamm?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, those
and then it
commercials
like
are so good.
shows you like the fight. It's a lot of fun. I
Yeah,
think.
I
I think
think
if you're into hockey, you're really looking forward to kind of the rematch,
if you're not
and
into hockey, watch
you
the
should watch
rematch
it. You should watch the rematch.
because I'm telling you, this could be some of the best hockey you'll ever see and some of the best
Yeah,
sporting period you'll ever see, just based on how Four Nations went and just kind of the bad blood and the rivalry that is taking place.
yeah, yeah. So
So
should be great.
so yeah, that I think does it for the NHL though.
Nice. Well, then we will move on to college football. They had championship weekend last weekend
Yes.
and Army Navy this weekend, so we're going to talk about all of it.
Yeah, so championship weekend we talked about again in the episode that does not exist. Um
Yep.
quick thing, it pretty much went mostly as expected. Um Georgia beat Alabama. Indiana did beat Ohio State, which I think was kind of a upset. Both teams obviously undefeated going into it. Um, but I think if you were to talk to most people would have taken Alabama. Most people would have taken Ohio State in that game, um, just because of who Ohio State is and the fact that they just won the national championship. They've been, in my opinion, probably the best team so far this season. But Indiana gets the win there. Georgia beat Alabama. Texas Tech beat BYU. Duke keeps Virginia out of the tournament. Instead, it goes to Tulane and James Madison make the college football playoffs. So that was pretty interesting for the bracket. Um, I think the only interesting thing we decided with the bracket was Alabama making it over Notre Dame and
Yeah.
just making it over Notre Dame really is what I think it came down to. Obviously, 3-loss Alabama gets kind of blown out in the conference championship, so not a great look. But the committee still thought they were the better team. Um, as a Notre Dame fan, I was kind of unbothered by the situation, and then I think Notre Dame's reaction to the situation was uncalled for. Um, Staying out of a bowl game, opting out was just kind of a tantrum and pussy move, to be truthfully honest with you. So,
Yeah.
not a great look there for Notre Dame, but kind of is what it is.
Yeah. Look, I agree that I think they should have been in. I understand Miami being put in, but I do not think there is a reason or a justifiable one to have Alabama in over Notre Dame.
Yeah,
However, this sport and the playoffs are committee based. So to then throw a tantrum when this happens every year, someone gets left out, someone gets snubbed, someone is unhappy, to then respond by going, we're not going to play in a bowl game, which then puts your players and another team in a bad position. It's uncalled for, it's unnecessary, and it makes you look like a bitch.
yeah. It was just not a good reaction to the situation at all.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they made that decision, and at this point, they're going to have to reap the consequences, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
But speaking of the bracket, we'll quickly go through it, considering games are going to start this weekend. The first game, I believe, of the weekend is Alabama, Oklahoma. Is December the 19th. The game's at 5 p.m. I would say it would be an interesting game. Like, obviously, these two teams are rivals. They don't really like each other, but I do expect Oklahoma to kind of whoop Alabama's ass in this game.
I would be shocked if it goes another way.
Yeah.
Just shocked.
Just not. Alabama's not going to do well, in my opinion.
No.
And then the Saturday games are Miami at Texas A&M. The game's at 9 a.m. Pacific. I expect Texas A&M to win that game. I think Texas A&M has been the better team this season. But I would not count Miami out in that game.
Yeah.
And then an interesting game that I don't really know how it's going to go is Tulane Ole Miss. That's at 12:30 Pacific. The reason I'm unsure about this game is Ole Miss does not. Well, they have a head coach, but they have a interim head coach currently. So we'll see. Ole Miss is definitely the better team on paper, but we'll see how important the head coach situation is for Ole Miss. So
yeah.
I would expect Ole Miss to win that game, but if Tulane won, I would not be that surprised. And then the last game is James Madison at Oregon. To me, this is the most one-sided game in the start of the playoffs. I expect Oregon to demolish James Madison. I don't think this game is going to be particularly close. Congrats to James Madison for making it here, but I don't think you're going to have a fairy tale Cinderella story.
No.
So, unfortunate.
I agree. I am going to give it to Ole Miss. I do think just the talent is too overwhelming on that side. Comparatively, if not, I think it will come down to the head coach situation. But I am going to go Ole Miss. Yeah, I don't see a way Alabama beats Oklahoma. Really, I don't see a way James Madison comes away with the win.
I don't. And then for the teams on bye, Texas Tech is awaiting the winner of Oregon James Madison. Indiana is awaiting the winner of Oklahoma Alabama. Georgia is waiting for the winner of Tulane Ole Miss. And then Ohio State is playing the winner of Miami and Texas A&M. So should be some really good matchups just on paper. Texas Tech Oregon I think will be really good if that happens. Indiana Oklahoma would be a pretty good one. Georgia versus whoever, I think Georgia kind of has an easy win there. And then Ohio State probably has an easy win no matter who they go up against. So there'll be a couple good matchups, but we'll kind of wait and see. Who knows? Once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
Should be a good time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then we will move on to the Army-Navy game that was this weekend. It was a great time.
It's a good game.
It was a fun matchup. I am going to quickly... I suggested last week, and because we didn't get to talk about it, I'm going to suggest it again. I would move Army-Navy to Labor Day weekend to kick off the college season. And I would make it a whole national event. I think they do these things now, but it kind of gets lost in the shuffle of everything else going on. It gets lost in, football's going on, basketball's going on, just so much other stuff that if you moved it to Labor Day weekend, the beginning of September,
it would kind of
you
be
invite
on
the
its
commander
own.
in chief out. Yeah, it's on its own. It stands alone. You do like an air show for halftime. I would just turn it into this massive fucking event.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think I think if you moved it and did a huge event for opening essentially day for college football, that would be pretty awesome with these two teams. Um, but as they do it now, it was still a really good game and a really cool game.
Mm-hmm.
Navy gets the win 17-16. Army was winning pretty much the whole day, and then
Yeah.
Navy snaked it out in the end. It was pretty much expected. Not a ton happened on offense. Like, these two teams are not
No.
known for being offensive juggernauts. It was a very good defensive battle. It was just a good battle between the two teams. I think you kind of saw what Navy and Army are on a football field. So it was a really awesome game to watch between the two teams, and you could kind of see the rivalry and the chippiness towards the end of the game that made
Oh
it
yeah.
really fun.
It was a great game. It's always a great game. And I don't want to take away from that by moving it. I just want to add to the experience. Um, it was a great time. I think even if you don't watch college football religiously, this game tends to be on your radar.
Yeah.
Army's won the last few, so for Navy to kind of get the win this year was really exciting. You see kind of all of the detail that they put in to the game, to their uniforms,
Yes.
to the attention to detail, to the history that these teams commemorate in this moment is always fantastic. And you see it. You see the respect, but the rivalry and the intensity of it is always prominent. It was a great game. Not very offensive driven, but it was a great game.
Yeah, it was. And then on the jersey side, I don't know if this is exactly true, but I want to say every year they do something different with the jerseys. Um, it's never the same jersey back to back years, and I don't
Yeah.
even really think they reuse jerseys ever. So it's always kind of cool to see what they end up doing with the jerseys. I think it was Navy's helmets were really nice.
That
Um,
copper.
that
Yeah.
copper color was pretty cool. I did like Army's jerseys. I thought the
I thought the
font,
script,
yeah, the font
like for the back
was really
was
nice.
beautiful.
Um, so yeah, every year I think they do well on the jersey side of things. So it's always really cool to see kind of what every year they have planned for the jerseys.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. Um, yeah, this
It was
game
a
did
great
not
time.
disappoint. So
Alrighty.
we'll quickly then get into the news. Um, Obviously, last week we kind of missed a bunch. So we'll just quickly cover the main ones. Jimmy Rogers, the head coach of Washington State, is becoming the next head coach at Iowa State. Kind of talking about that. I think Iowa State was always going to be his landing spot. It seems like he always wanted to go there, considering that Iowa State's head coach, Matt Campbell, is now becoming the head coach of Penn State. They finalized the contract for Jimmy Rogers prior to Matt Campbell finalizing his contract with Penn State. So that kind of gives you an idea that this was in the
This was happening
works.
regardless.
Yeah, this was in the works. This was something that was just going to happen at some point. Um, just whenever that job opening happened, he was definitely going to be their go-to man. So interesting there. Those were, I think, the major head coaching decisions. And then there was a interesting situation that happened where Sharon Moore, the head coach of Michigan, was fired by Michigan, and then later it was revealed that he was detained and arrested. We do have confirmation on what the charges are. There's a felony charge for home invasion and charges of stalking and breaking and entering. Um, in their official report, he was fired for having an inappropriate relation with a staff member. Um, I've only heard rumors on what actually happened, so I have no idea what the whole situation is, and I don't really think we should discuss the rumors because I think that's inappropriate.
Yeah.
But based on what I'm hearing, not great.
It was not a good
Not
situation.
good.
We've never been one to speculate. We are not going to start now, and we also will not give fodder to things going on. But not a good situation on any front.
I don't
So
expect him to ever coach again.
no,
Simply put.
no, I'm pretty sure his career is over.
So unfortunate. I don't think Michigan has hired another head coach as of yet. When they do, we'll be sure to let you all know.
Yep.
But we'll get into some lighter news as college football, as there was another head coaching position filled. Washington State filled their head coaching position with Missouri offensive coordinator Kirby Moore. That is the brother of Kellen Moore, the current head coach of the New Orleans Saints. So, interesting hire. I want to say he's from the Washington area, so not overly surprising. Kind of somebody that they expect to hang around for a while. So, probably a decent hire there. And then we'll get into the awards because a lot of the college football awards were announced this weekend, including the Heisman, but we'll get to that one last. The first award is the best quarterback of the year. That goes to Fernando Mendoza of Indiana. No real surprise. I do believe he was the best quarterback of the season, so nothing really shocking there. The Fred Biletnikoff Award for best wide receiver went to University of South California. Makai Lemon had a great season. Good wide receiver. Not that surprising. This one I don't really understand because I was under the impression that he was an offensive tackle, but Utah's Spencer Fano takes home the Outland Trophy for best interior lineman. I was under the impression that he was an offensive tackle, which is not in the interior of the offensive line, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe he moved to guard at some point this season. It's not that surprising that if he did. Next is Coach of the Year goes to Indiana's Curt Cignetti. Not surprising. He was the only undefeated coach on the season. That pretty much is all you need to do.
And you didn't get fired.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be a difficult order this season. So
yeah, there's that. Very low bar here for best head coach.
You didn't get fired, and then you had the best record. So sounds good.
Yeah. Next is the best tight end. Is Eli Stowers of Vanderbilt. So shout out Vanderbilt for getting an award. He was very good there. Obviously, they had a great season, so congrats to them and him. Next is the Jim Thorpe Award for Best Defensive Back in college football, and that's going to Ohio State's Caleb Downs. Again, not surprising. He had a fantastic season with Ohio State on one of the best defenses in the league, or in college football, so pretty deserving there. So that's great. Next is the Chuck Bednarik Defensive Player of the Year. This goes to the best defensive player in college football. It's Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker from Texas Tech. That gets the award. Again, very deserving. Had a fantastic season this year for a very, very good Texas Tech team. Was their leader on and off the field. Just one of the best seasons we've seen from a linebacker in a long time, to the point where he was getting Heisman buzz at one point in the season. So it's all you really need to know there for Jacob Rodriguez. Next is the best running back. That's going to Notre Dame Jeremiah Love. Again, not that surprising. He was a Heisman finalist, one of the best running backs we've seen in a while. Obviously, there has been some great running backs recently in college football, and he was up there with them. And then we got a couple more. For best place kicker of the year, it's going to Oklahoma's Tate Sandel. Congrats to you. And then for best punter of the year, we got Georgia's Brett Thorson. So shout out to the special teams guys.
Yeah. They deserve recognition too, y'all.
Yeah.
They do.
And then one of the last awards is the Maxwell Award, which is the Player of the Year. I don't really know why there's two of them. I'm a little confused, but there is two of them. So Player of the Year is Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. So congrats to him on the Maxwell Award. And then, kind of to spoil everything, he is also the Heisman. So Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman Trophy to become Indiana's first ever Heisman. Obviously, great season, great record, very deserving. But his other finalists were Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame, Diego Pavia, the quarterback of Vanderbilt, and Julian Sayin, the quarterback of Ohio State. So all of them were deserving. Fernando Mendoza had a great season.
Yeah.
So congrats to him.
I kind of thought it was going to go to Paviev, but I think Indiana's record helped. Fernandez, not that he didn't deserve it, because he did. I just kind of think that played a factor.
And then I have confirmation. The Maxwell Award is, I want to say, voted on by the players. I think it's a player-driven award. So
nice. Well, that's always fun. Player-driven awards, it gives recognition to your competition and the other people kind of on your level. So that's always exciting.
Yeah, so that's always cool. Oh no, it's a panel of sportscasters, sports writers, and the association. The Heisman, I want to say, is then. I have no idea. Truthfully,
okay. Well,
there's just two of them. I want to confirm. I thought that's what it was, but I was wrong. So, what do I know?
That's all right. It's all right.
And then there's one more bit of news that is kind of interesting in college football, and that is Arch Manning will be returning to school for the 2026 season. So he is not declaring for the NFL draft, to literally nobody's surprise.
Yeah, I mean, this is what they said he was going to do. Well, for the most part, right? For the most part, you're like, well, things change. The Mannings operate a little differently. If they say something, they mean it. So when he said at the beginning of this year that he was going to stay in college football next year, that was the decision.
Yeah.
So reconfirming it now, great, not necessary.
Yeah. You kind of have to, because, well, these are the times to declare for the draft, but again, not overly surprising that he is staying put for one more season of college football.
And he's not ready, right? No. No offense, but he's not ready.
But I think that's it for college football.
All right. So then, as that, for now at least, wraps up college football, we will kick it into the NFL and the immense amount of breaking news that we've got over there.
Yeah, well, we're going to cover the major ones from last week, and then we'll get into this week, where there are some pretty unfortunate things that happened.
Yeah.
First, quickly, we'll get through the injuries from last week. The Cleveland Browns have placed Ethan Posich and Jerome Ford on injured reserve. I do believe that ends both of their seasons, because the Browns are not going to make the playoffs. Spoiler alert. Next is the Chiefs. Wanya Morris suffered a season-ending knee injury Sunday versus the Texans. Really unfortunate. That was one that you could tell he was hurt. So, confirmed, I think ACL tear, but really unfortunate there. Next is Bengals. Trey Hendrickson has undergone surgery on his core muscles, and that is expected to sideline him for 6 weeks, which would be long enough to keep him out for the remainder of the season. So I believe we have watched Trey Hendrickson for the last time as a Cincinnati Bengal. Um, I guess there is a way that he still re-signs there, but my guess is he doesn't. So this was kind of a quit on the season, go get ready for a team to be able to sign you in the offseason type situation. Next is Raiders corner Kyle Blue Kelly suffered a torn patella tendon, so he is done for the remainder of the season and most likely most of next season as well. So really unfortunate there for the Raiders. So yeah, not having a great year. That's not helping. Next is the Commanders tight end Zach Ertz has suffered a season-ending torn ACL. Unfortunately, I do believe he is out of a contract at the end of the season, and that was a very gross and awful knee injury. And with his age, I do expect that this could be the last time we see Zach Ertz on a football field. Unfortunately, never want to see that, but just kind of
This was definitely a heartbreaking injury. It was horrifying to watch it. You knew immediately. He knew immediately. He's a great player, but tight ends take a lot of wear and tear as they get older.
And he has been in the league for a while.
A long time. If you have been watching Hard Knocks, obviously they do all of their editing after the week's game, and then it comes out on Tuesday. And they made a point to put a lot of Zach Ertz content in it. His interviews, what coaches had to say about him, it was all very positive without being an extreme tribute piece, because obviously we don't know what the future holds. But they did pay special attention to him, which I appreciated. And Hard Knocks editing team always does a great job. So if you haven't been watching that, this is kind of a good week to go look in on it.
Awesome. And then one of the last injuries from last week is Brian Branch, the safety of the Detroit Lions, tore his Achilles, so he will be done for the season. Just to continue to add to the litany of season-ending Lion injuries. That secondary has been torn apart by injuries.
Yeah. They just can't. They just can't stay healthy. They can't buy health at this point.
Nope. And then the last injury we'll talk about from last week is Daniel Jones, the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, unfortunately suffered a season-ending torn ACL. He faces 9 months of recovery. Hopefully, he can be back pretty quickly into next season. However, he is only on a 1-year contract with the Colts. So, kind of see what his future holds. Really unfortunate there. Was having a pretty decent season and a pretty good revival to his career. So, really unfortunate that it had to end this way for Daniel Jones.
Yeah. I mean, I think what happens next will really say what the Colts thought about his time with them this far. Everyone kind of thought he would be getting maybe a Baker Mayfield kind of contract at 3 for 30 kind of deal. We'll see how this impacts that.
Yeah. And then
it was a terrible injury though. You knew as soon as it happened. Everybody knew. And then 20 minutes later they were like, "Oh, it's an Achilles injury," and we were all like, "We know."
We know. And then in response to Daniel Jones going out with a season-ending torn ACL or torn Achilles, the Colts signed Phillip Rivers to the practice squad and then later signed him to the 53-man roster. And then he started the game against the Seahawks. So we will talk more about him when we get there. But Phillip Rivers, 44 years old, is back in the NFL.
It's irresponsible. It's kind of a joke. I thought it was a joke. We're going to talk about how that game went.
Yeah.
He survived it.
He did survive.
But a big
I'll give them that.
question was not just can he even still do this, right? But the 4 defenses he had to go up against for the rest of this year are attack the quarterback defenses.
Yeah.
I don't understand. There are quarterbacks on active rosters
And
that you could
out
have
there.
gone and gotten that are in shape, that are not on fucking AARP's health like short list. Like, I don't know. I'm confused. I just think that sometimes the Colts don't take themselves very seriously, so how am I supposed to?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation with the Colts. I think well, again, I will talk much more about this when we talk about the Seahawks game this week. So, kind of just leave it there for Philip Rivers until then. Couple more pieces of news that came out last week. First of which is about the draft. The NFL has announced that they are shortening the time between picks in the first round. It is going from 10 minutes to 8 minutes. That is a pretty awesome change, for being honest. Yeah. That would make it so that it is projected to end around 11:45 Eastern time. The draft
about an hour, if not a little more, from the draft.
Yeah.
So, and as y'all know, we live streamed the first round, and that was like a 3.5-4 hour thing.
Yeah.
So to have it shortened, that's pretty exciting.
Just
I think
at least a little bit.
It doesn't take away from the draft, but
no,
I think it's beneficial, especially for viewership.
I think it is. I think it's nice to not now be up. If you're on the East Coast, you were up till 12:30 to watch the back end of the draft. Yeah. Now you're still up late, but it's not that much worse. If you want to watch the back end, and you get a team picking there, but they at least shortened it. I think that was a pretty necessary decision from the NFL. Something that I feel like was coming for a while, just with how long the first round had been taken the past couple of years.
Yeah. And I've seen some things right now, some criticisms, and I know Detroit really wants to keep it in Detroit, but it's in Pittsburgh next year. The thing about moving the draft, the exciting part is a lot of these places will never get a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like the Super Bowl will never be played in these cities. So now they kind of get their own event that the city can invest in and can make money off of. It's a good thing.
I'm really enjoying the moving it around.
New
York was an awesome atmosphere, awesome place to have the draft for years. But now that we're moving it around, these teams and these cities that, as you said, aren't going to really get a Super Bowl because, well,
they don't play the Super Bowl in the cold. They don't want it to snow. We love snow games. They don't want it for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Detroit might because they're indoors, but like Pittsburgh, never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
I want to say next year last year it was in Green Bay.
This year it's in San Francisco.
Never going to happen. Like the draft is a good thing to do for these cities that aren't going to have a Super Bowl anytime soon unless they fix or make their stadiums domes. And truthfully, I don't want more stadiums to be domes.
I remember the year that the Broncos put up the this might predate you. Might not. Their giant fucking screen. I can't think of what it's called right now. They have a word for it. But they like revamped the stadium. They put this giant screen up, and the whole point was they were trying to bid for a Super Bowl. And then the NFL was like, it's not.
It's never going to be played in Denver.
So they've kind of backed off. But now like there's something to kind of hope for and hopefully the city can get and things like that. So
yeah, they're never going to get a Super Bowl for a couple reasons, really. But hopefully maybe that city can have like the draft or something like that, just to be cool. But we'll see. Next, last piece of news from last week: the Buccaneers have activated Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan to the active roster. They both played Thursday night. I thought Mike Evans had a pretty good game, so cool to see
He
them
did.
back. Always good to see Mike Evans playing one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Always
So
elevates football. I feel like Baker Mayfield is at this point, and I don't really know what's going on with the Bucks. And we can talk about that later. But he was like, okay, I don't know if we're gonna win this game or not, but if I can get Mike Evans as close to 1,000 yards, I'm gonna do it. Like
yeah,
that seemed to be the goal.
I honestly think that's going to be the goal for the rest of the season. We'll kind of wait
So
and see. Yeah, we'll start getting into the news from this week. Quite a bit of it, some really unfortunate injury news. So we'll just kind of get into it. First of which was Steelers' T.J. Watt had surgery on Thursday to repair a partially collapsed lung suffered during the week. I want to say this is very similar to what happened to Tyrod Taylor when he was with the Chargers. He was going through dry needling, which is a pretty common thing the NFL players use just to help with inflammation, help with recovery. Unfortunately, it nicked his lung. So I don't think, played Monday versus the Dolphins. I honestly don't
he did
remember
not.
seeing. So unfortunate. It sounds like he should be back at some point this season. Um, Probably back definitely for the playoffs if the Steelers make it. So um, unfortunate for TJ Watt, great player. Hopefully he'll be back pretty soon. Um,
Yeah, and my understanding is he didn't realize it. Like he
yeah,
went through
until
whatever, and then he was like trying to practice, and he was like, "I'm just struggling
it
to breathe."
hurts.
So they took him to the hospital, and they were like,
You have a collapsed lung.
"You have a collapsed lung, bro. You shouldn't have been."
And that's
What's happening here?
honestly what I expect from TJ Watt. Like, let's be honest.
And then I guess for anyone, because I have had it, dry needling, it's like acupuncture but deeper.
Yeah.
It feels weird, but it feels really good when you're done.
And then continuing on, we have Christian Watson was hurt during the Broncos game. It does not sound like it sounds like he escaped really serious injury. It sounds like he's going to play on Sunday. On what looked to be a much worse situation, looked like he could have broken his shoulder, broken something within his chest. But it seems that he avoided major injury and is actually set to play on Sunday. So that is pretty good news there for Christian Watson and the Packers. Next is defensive tackle Mario Edwards of the Texans has ruptured his pec and will be out for the remainder of the season. Really unfortunate. One of the best defensive lines in football is losing a valued member as a depth piece. So unfortunate there for the Texans. Next is the Buccaneers are placing Zion McCollum, their corner, on IR with a hip injury. This will put him out for the remainder of the regular season. He could be back in the postseason if Tampa Bay would to make it that far. And as of right now, they are in a dogfight, so we'll kind of have to wait and see if they do make it.
Yeah.
Next, the Vikings have placed Jonathan Grenard on IR with a shoulder injury. It sounds like he's going to be done for the rest of the season. It sounds like they're kind of done with their season in a way. So this is a way for them to get him back healthy for next year. So it's one of those. Probably something to play with, but they might as well get it done now so that he's healthy come next season. Similar situation happening with Jaden Daniels. The Commanders have decided that he is not going to play the remainder of their 3 games. I think this is a very wise decision for the Commanders.
Yeah.
Obviously, had the injury against Seattle, and then went down again against the I want to say Eagles with that same injury. So the Commanders are just going to shut him down. They're not going to risk his health going forward, which I think is a good idea considering they're not really playing for anything now this season. and they do want their rookie franchise quarterback healthy for next season.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's no reason to keep playing him. No reason to keep risking whatever's going on out there. Just make sure he's healthy. Maybe get him a little stronger, bulked up a little bit, going into next year, and make that the
And
focus. They are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Absolutely nothing can happen for them to get in. So.
And then a team not following that choice is the Cincinnati Bengals, who have decided that they're going to let Joe Burrow finish up the season as the starting quarterback. For the same reason, I thought the Commanders were smart for shutting Jaden Daniels down. Is the same reason I think the Bengals are stupid for what they're deciding to do with Joe Burrow. The Bengals have officially been mathematically eliminated, and Joe Burrow should probably spend the rest of the season on the bench, just getting healthy and getting ready for next season. So,
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about Joe Burrow when we talk the Ravens game. I think there's more to that. And unfortunately, the Bengals have proven to, instead of being a competent run organization, they are going to let their quarterback decide everything. So I think this was his decision. I think it's probably the wrong one, but we will get into that a little bit more when we talk the Ravens game.
Next is the Jaguars have confirmed that Bayshaw Tootin, their rookie running back, has undergone finger surgery. I do believe that he's going to miss a couple weeks, but should be back for the playoffs. I want to say the Jags are pretty safe in their playoff spot currently, so they do expect to make it that far, so he should be back at some point this season.
At this point, they are winning their division.
Yes.
And their number one competitor has Grandpa. So
I think their number two competitor can make a pretty strong run towards the end, but we'll see what the Texans end up doing. That defense is pretty legit, but that
defense is very legit. The offense is
questionable,
inconsistent at best.
Next, though, is the two big injuries from this week. As Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL in their game against the Chargers. Really unfortunate. This is the same game that the Chiefs were eliminated from playoff contention, so they are officially out of it. Really unfortunate. Never want to see that. Patrick Mahomes obviously is a great player. So you never want to see somebody like that go down with this kind of injury. So hopefully he can be back next year, healthy, and lead the Chiefs again. But we will have a season without the Chiefs in the playoffs. So kind of interesting.
It's the first time, I think it's 20 years, that the playoffs have not featured Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, or Patrick Mahomes.
That is pretty insane. That's pretty.
Look, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I've been vocal about that. You never want this.
No.
As much as I love football and I love the competitiveness and the physicality, I never want this. This was heartbreaking. He has been dealing with a knee injury all year, and whatever you may want to say, he rarely sits out. He is a very physical, very tough quarterback, and he fought to the very end to try and get his team into the race. And this was devastating.
Yeah, it was.
I think the Chiefs have a lot of decisions to make, and I think with benefit maybe comes, okay, we need to build a genuine roster. You can't just ask him to keep covering up weaknesses and holes. There are real problems and real deficiencies on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of now the time to do that. They're going to have a higher draft pick than they've had in years.
Yeah, I think this is the year for them to kind of commit to not necessarily a rebuild, but a retooling.
Yeah.
We'll say it that way.
And obviously, we all await Travis Kelce's decision.
Yes.
And I would bet the Chiefs have a deadline for him that he needs to decide by.
Yes, I would imagine. And then the last bit of injury news from this week is another really, really unfortunate one. Is Packers Micah Parsons has torn his ACL as well, so he will be done for the remainder of the season. Another just really unfortunate one. The Packers were playing very good, and he was a big part of that defense's kind of resurgence this year. Obviously, big trade earlier this offseason. Just really unfortunate. Also, in the moment, this was another one you could tell what happened, and it was just kind of another heartbreaking one to see him on the field like that. It sucked.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. He's probably one of the best defensive players in the NFL, and he loves football so much. To watch him go out there and play, you can just see the joy and the love for the game, and to be playing on a team that was genuinely playing for something and was genuinely fighting for something. Um, it's been great to see. I do think this impacts their ability to make the Super Bowl.
I think this impacts a lot of what they're going to be able to do going forward. He was so impactful to that team, or defensively, and what they do and how they get after the quarterback. And without that, I don't see them being able to really make a push that we kind of expected them to be able to this year going into it.
Yeah, he added the talent, just the pure talent that he is. But we've talked at length about how young this team is. So to add kind of the veteran presence, the age, someone that has been in playoff games, it just adds a level of experience and calm that a locker room needs. And then you take into account his talent as well. And I think this is going to have a massive impact on their postseason.
I agree. Well, moving on, we'll get into some other bits of news. First is there was a contract extension. The Jets have signed their starting center, Josh Myers, to a 2-year, $11 million contract extension. Nothing major, just kind of takes an option off the board in NFL free agency. He's a pretty decent center. So that kind of takes away what people could have done in free agency. So kind of unfortunate there. That he has to remain with the Jets. Kind of shitty.
Yeah, you feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to sign a contract like you could have waited.
I mean,
like, nah, bro.
$11 million, that's probably the most he was going to get.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Next is the 49ers have placed wide receiver Brandon Ayuk on reserved left squad list, which officially ends his season and pretty much his career with the 49ers.
Yeah,
so,
I do not know what the fuck's going on in that building.
Yeah, that one's curious to me. We'll kind of have to wait and see. Apparently, he has just kind of stopped showing up. I want to say Shanahan, in one of his recent press conferences, said that he has not seen Ayuk in like a couple months at this point. So I don't know where the 49ers go from here with that situation, but we're going to find out. Whether it's a trade or they just release him. But this is obviously coming off them just giving him a new contract during the preseason last year. So we'll kind of see how this whole thing comes to an end here soon. It'll definitely be something interesting for this offseason.
Once again, Ayuk will be the talk of the town.
Yep. Next, the Jets made some more decisions in their team and roster. They have fired their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes. Um, Obviously, the Jets
Well,
have not had a great year defensively, and then this stat that came with the firing just kind of sums it up in a perfect little bow. Through 15 weeks, the Jets have yet to record an interception. We're 15 weeks into the
yeah,
season, and you have not intercepted a pass. That's just not good in any way you can put it.
no, no,
You would
no,
think at some point you would get lucky on an overthrow, a tipped pass, literally
just
anything,
anything.
uh, but they haven't. So the Jets are moving on. Really unfortunate, considering that is also what Aaron Glenn is known for.
Yeah,
Um, so just not a good situation there currently for the Jets. And then the Jets also have announced that they are releasing veteran wide receiver Alan Lazard. He's going to hit waivers. I don't expect anybody to claim him off waivers. Um, Maybe the Steelers do. Maybe. However, they also did disclaim Adam Thielen, so I think they are tapped out on veteran wide receivers off waivers. But if Aaron Rodgers has a say, it's entirely possible. We'll kind of find out.
I mean, given how the last time the two of them were together went, I kind of doubt it.
We'll see. And then the last two pieces of news come from Miami this morning, as the Dolphins have released pass rusher Matthew Judon. So he is now on waivers to be claimed. He's somebody I think will definitely get claimed. He does bring at least some pass rush ability and a veteran presence. We'll kind of see what happens there with Judon.
Yep.
Obviously, did not have the season he nor the Dolphins wanted. So, kind of wait and see there.
And Judon is getting up there. Pass rushers have kind of a window in terms of longevity,
Yeah.
but it's also the Dolphins, so it's kind of hard to know which is which at this point.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. Is, it's the Dolphins. That's really what you need to say, especially because the Dolphins have also decided that they are going to bench Tua Tagovailoa. They are starting Quinn Ewers, their 7th-round rookie, this upcoming Sunday. Tua has not had a good season. It has not gone well.
No.
So they're turning to the 7th-round rookie in replacement. But I think the really interesting news with this is Tua is not even going to be the backup. That is going to be Zach Wilson. So Tua will be the third quarterback, the emergency quarterback, in the event that both of them get hurt. But on Sunday, it'll be Quinn Ewers starting and then Zach Wilson as the backup.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't really know what you wanted them to do. They waited longer than I probably would have, but we did see for 5 weeks.
a little bit of
6
improvement.
games. They won 5 of 6. We thought maybe. I think that's more a testament to McDaniel than anything else. Tua is not a good quarterback and has been vastly impacted by injuries. Even the things he used to be good at, we've seen a drop off in.
Yeah.
And those areas do not make a good enough starting quarterback. And I think the contract was an extremely poor choice. I was vocal about that then. I will continue to be vocal about that.
Yeah.
You drafted Quinn Ewers. You might as well see what's there. And yeah, I would have him third on the depth chart too, because I am not getting that man hurt again. I need to see if I can trade him for a backup, and we're going to try and Broncos this bullshit.
So, I will say, this is, if you have a quarterback that is not great, that is struggling, this is the year to try and trade them. Because this is not a deep quarterback class. I think they're really like 2 or 3 that you're looking at to be real difference makers, and then it drops off of a cliff quickly. So teams that are looking for a quarterback that are not picking up high in the draft this year, we could see some interesting trades. I'm thinking Tua, Kyler. Those are really the two that stand out currently. Yeah. We'll kind of wait and see, but I think the quarterback market this season and the carousel this season could get a little spicy, just with the lack of talent in the draft at that position.
Could get interesting.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, if that does it for breaking news, we will get into our games real fast. Do you want me to do my game from last week and my game from this week, or do you want to do all of last week and then all of this week?
I was not planning on talking a lot about my game from last week. I was going to kind of just bring up the score, basically what I thought, but that was it. And then maybe like a little bit of the news I had from last week, but that's pretty much it.
Cool. Great. Then we will move into our games of the week. I am going to start with the Ravens just quickly. The week before, the Ravens did play the Steelers at home, losing that game 27-22. A lot of problems. A lot of problems. Where we sat at the end of that game was the Ravens have to beat the Steelers in Week 18, and they have to end with the same record. So, if the Ravens win out, and even the Steelers win out, but then lose to Baltimore in Week 18, the Ravens make the playoffs. If the Steelers win that game, or end with a better record, the Steelers will make the playoffs. That will be the deciding factor for the division winner. The Bengals now are mathematically eliminated. The Browns are mathematically eliminated. It is a dogfight to the end for the AFC North.
And not the way I thought it was going to be.
Not in the way I thought it was going to be at all. I'm going to stop having opinions.
I don't know if it's a dogfight or a garbage fight. I'm not really sure where we're at.
We'll see how they play. As for kind of just little bits of points from last week, Mark Andrews did get a new contract, 3 years, $36 million, 26 guaranteed. I thought this was earned. He is only the second tight end to be the Triple Crown winner for their franchise. The only other one to do it is Travis Kelce for the Chiefs. I do think he's a pivotal part of this team. I also think he's a pivotal part of this offense. But I don't like how he's being used right now, so we're going to get into that. I didn't think it was the best showing defensively last week. A lot of room for improvement, and offensively, going to freak out at my right guard. So, yeah. They did sign a right guard, or a guard, Laken Tomlinson. That does not matter. He did not play this week. So, the fun continues. Going into this week, the Ravens needed the win against the Bengals in Cincinnati. I thought they were angry. They haven't lost to the Bengals in a long time. And to lose at home, they just haven't played well at home. It's been kind of a rough year. So to go on the road in Cincinnati, it was going to be a tough ask. The Ravens did meet the challenge, beating the Bengals 24-0. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were held to 0 points. Only so much credit can be given to my defense. Thought they played well. It was a great game and a great performance. However, if you watch that game,
that was rough.
He and Jamar Chase were not on the same page. He didn't seem to have a clue what was going on out there. Before the game, he had a press conference where he talked about he needs to decide if he's even enjoying playing football. And if he's going to play football, he wants to have fun doing it. I think there's two elements to this. One, the Bengals are not a good team. And he has not played meaningful football in over 3 years.
Yeah.
This is the second year they're going to miss the playoffs. And they have not been a good team. That is partially Joe Burrow's fault. Demanding that his receivers make a bunch of money makes it hard to pay for a good defense. Being injury prone to non-contact based injuries is a problem. I understand that the Bengals are not a good organization. They are not competently run. In case you were curious about an example of incompetence, to have to put out a statement the morning before a division rivalry game, a game that you have to win to keep your chances of being in the playoffs alive, because the division is unfortunately wide open. And you forgot to hire ushers to shovel off the seats at your stadium is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. When your best employee, your best player, says he's unhappy, the last fucking thing you should do is go, well, we don't care. We don't even know how to act like a competent franchise, competent organization. They had to tell the people with tickets that someone could help them brush off their seat because they forgot to do it. The fuck is wrong with you people? Yeah, I understand that people don't want to play in Cincinnati. Carson Palmer, historically, was like, this is crap, this is trash, and he left and he went on to have a great career. And while I have questions about who Joe Burrow is as a quarterback, I do. And I have questions about his ability to stay healthy. I understand being unhappy in Cincinnati. I do also think part of this situation is on him. When you go into a game, an important game, with this mindset, I don't think you can play well. After the game, he was asked if he thought his mindset was an issue. Obviously, he said no. I watched the game. I disagreed. A lot of problems there. A lot of problems. It was a great defensive effort. A lot of problems for the Bengals. Multiple sacks. The pressure was great. Because we didn't do one last week, Tavius Robinson and Ardarius Washington were reactivated to the 53-man roster. Tavius Robinson had a great game, a sack, a lot of pressure. He got the pressure that led to the second interception, which was beautiful. We're going to talk about that. Had a great game. It was great to see him back. Ardarius was very clearly on a snap count, which I appreciated. That's what I wanted. I was worried we were kind of rushing him back. He was just kind of used as a rotational guy to get other people rest. This was one of the best defensive performances we've seen in a long time, though. And it was a great game. The first interception by Humphrey, where the ball was tipped, it was just great ball awareness. You see it in their tackling. You see it in their pursuit. They're doing a really great job at that. Love to see that improvement. The second interception by Van Noy, one of the things he prides himself on is a very high football IQ, and you can see it. He faked the pressure and then dropped back, knowing likely where Burrow was going with that ball. It was a very intelligent move. It was a very high IQ move. And then a mild business decision, which I respected. I thought was funny. I'm sure he would have taken it as far as he could have. I'm sure he would have. There's a chance he'd have taken him to the house. I do think that tight end would have caught him. Yoshivas. And I do think he would have gone down. I also think he would have been praying for death. So he turns around. He did not pitch it. He did not lateral it. He handed it off to Gilman.
Yeah, it honestly was really impressive. And my favorite, I don't know why it popped up on mine because I don't follow anybody from the Ravens, but he talked about the play. I think he has a podcast or he has something.
Yeah.
But it popped up, and him talking about it is hilarious. Because he's like, I think I could have done it, but my old ass was not making. I don't think I made it. I'm like, I don't think your old ass would have made it.
Yeah, he was not doing it, and I respected it. It was a very unselfish play. It was a very intelligent play. He turned around. He and Gilman both said. Gilman says he called for it. I'm not sure that Van Noy truly heard him, but he turned around. Gilman was there. And he ran away with it. It was a great job. It was a great team effort. Robinson with the pressure, Van Noy with the pick, Gilman with the 6 was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great end. We've seen Ravens Bengals games end that way in the past. It was kind of the final nail in the coffin. It maintained the shutout because at that point they were at minimum in field goal range. Not that they would have taken it, but they were. So it just was. It was a great front. I think it really rallied those guys. And I'm hoping it gets them as ready for the remainder of the season as it can. Offensively, I rarely want to talk stat line. I'm going to today. Lamar was 8 for 12 with 150 yards through the air. He dropped back a total of 16 times, 4 of which, that's a quarter, by the way, 4 of which were sacks. Want to guess what side they came from? Actually, 1 did come from the left. But every sack he has, Falele's just... He's just looking around, honestly.
It's kind of sad.
When his pass protection is good, when someone comes right at him, he does a good job. He doesn't get beat a whole ton. But if he has to go get somebody, fucked. So 8 for 12, 150 yards to the air, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The interception was not his fault. It was a great pass to Zay Flowers. Zay should have caught it. He didn't. Intercepted. Here's my problem. You have Mark Andrews with great hands. You have Likely with... I understand there's been some end zone issues, but as a general rule, good hands. You have D-Hop. Why are we so obsessed with targeting Zay Flowers right now? What is that? What is that? Get your other team involved. Get the rest of them involved.
It worked out
for the
better
love of
later.
fuck.
It worked out pretty well later in the game.
It did. It worked out really well in the second quarter, right? But then he had another drop pass in the end zone. He was like, oh, fuck that. So, I would really like us to get everybody else involved. Mark Andrews had 2 targets. 1 was a little too high. He had 2 targets. D-Hop had 1 target. Likely didn't have any. Kohler didn't have any. We do not need... Spread the ball around, for the love of fuck. It was a great running game, though. Phenomenal. Derrick Henry had over 100 yards. Keaton Mitchell had in the 60s. Ali had 40, I believe. The first touchdown was really impressive. Lamar checked out of the play that was called, made a different adjustment, chipped the ball to Ali, and he went on the 30-yard run for the touchdown. That was great to see. I know it sounds underwhelming, right? 8 for 12, 150 yards. They only had the ball offensively for 20 minutes for the entire game. The Bengals had it for 40. Um, a lot of their plays, their average play was over 7.8 yards. So while not very thrilling, it was a very well accomplished game. I was really glad to see the run game get going. Lamar did start running more. I think we're seeing it come together. Yes, I would like us to utilize the rest of our team better. But this was one of the best offensive performances they've put out in a long time. I thought it was one of the most complete games they've had in a long time when you talk all three phases. And this is the kind of football they need to be playing. It was one of Lamar's coldest games, which means it's one of this team's coldest games. So to see them go out there and play well, pass well, run well, have that physicality was very impressive, especially because if they make the playoffs, they will be on the road, and it will be cold as fuck. I'm seeing improvement. I'm seeing his health. I'm seeing this team mesh together. If Falele doesn't start to block somebody, I'm going to go down to Baltimore, and I'm going to block him. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. And I'll be like, put me in, coach, because at least, fuck, I'll slow him down. I need something. He's selling out his quarterback for a snack-sized candy bar, and I need him to at least demand a king-size candy bar. I'm going to need him to expect more.
Oh.
Just try. Just try. It's ridiculous. If Shannon Sharp, sitting at home, can say you're too big to be that sorry, you need to pull your fucking head out of your ass. Block somebody. Anybody. Anybody at all. Look, you could just lead Lamar. Just be like, grab my jersey, and he'll run. He'll run behind you. Derrick Henry shoved Charlie Kohler into a defender. He was like, take care of that. Do something. I don't care what. Do something. Look, I'd even be alright if you drew a face mask or a holding penalty, because at least then you were involved in the play. Then you were trying. You don't even do that. It's getting old. And it has to change. It has to change. I don't think it can change at this point. I think this is who you are. So a change needs to be made. Special teams. Loop was perfect on the day. 1 field goal, 3 PATs. It was a complete game. It was a good game. I do think it was important to the Ravens. Yes, they are fighting for that number 1 seed in the AFC North. Yes, I do still kind of think this game, the bigger story was Joe Burrow. And I think you saw his mentality in this game. And you can't tell me it didn't play a factor when he can't hit Jamar Chase wide open in the chest. You can't tell me that. So, the Ravens are still alive. We're still holding on. We're still holding on.
At least it's not over yet. Still got a chance. It is
not over yet. Oh, and then final bit of news also. This week, Travis Jones received a contract. 3 years, $40 million, 26 guaranteed, and a $9 million signing bonus. What I do find interesting is usually the Ravens don't get these things done this time of year. They tend to be really focused on the playoffs, as there are questions there. I also think it shows what the Ravens find extremely important right now. And what going into this offseason, they don't want to deal with. So, something interesting there. Oh, also, final thing. Injuries. We unfortunately did not make it out of this game unscathed. Ronnie Stanley went down, I believe, the fourth quarter. That ankle that's been bugging him all year flared up. He kind of got rolled on, stepped on during one play. You know what would have helped? A guard, whatever. It's not important. Um, that ankle, he did not come back. I do believe he's been sidelined at practice all week. He has not been ruled out to play, as it is Ronnie Stanley. If he sees fit to go, he will go. But something that did come up. Chidobe Awuzie went out with a foot injury, also not ruled out to play. He's been a great corner. He's been a great presence for that team. If he's good to go, he will go. Teddy Buchanan, this was the hard one. Went down with an ACL tear. We saw a lot of those this week. So he is out for the season with a knee injury. That's obviously really heartbreaking. He and Roquan were building a really kind of tight bond, a really good brotherhood. I think Roquan really finally found like he found his running mate, and for this to happen, especially right now, really unfortunate. So hopefully his recovery goes well, and we'll see him back soon. On other injury news, Rashad Bateman, who's been out for several weeks, is set to hopefully make his return this week. He has returned to. He's had that ankle injury, so not completely unscathed, but hopefully the Bengals. Nope. Hopefully the Ravens will rally going into next week because they will need all the fucking help they can get.
Yeah, it's tough. I just looked at who you had to play, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah!
It's unfortunate that you need to keep your season alive, and that's
I need to keep my season alive, and I have a pretty tough stretch there at the end.
Oh, I just saw who you play after that. At least you don't have to deal with him.
Oh yeah.
You know that's.
I don't have to deal with him, which is good, because if I did, he would just stand on the right side and look at Falele and be like, I got candy in the truck. Go the fuck away, bro. He would just bull rush that asshole.
Yeah, you'd be having a rough day.
So, yeah. But yeah, I get the Patriots, then the Packers, and then, luckily, I'm sure, the Steelers with TJ Watt back.
Yeah. It's...
And I have to win all of them, by the way. If the Steelers would lose a couple,
the Steelers will probably lose this week.
Yeah, but I needed them to lose to the Dolphins, and that did not go.
That was simply never going to happen.
So, yeah, it's we have a chance.
It's rough. It's rough out here.
It's just a rough chance.
Well, I hope for your sake they pull it off.
Yeah, me too. We're going to talk more about look ahead. There are some interesting changes to the Patriots game, but we'll do that a little later. Right now, let's hear about the Seahawks.
Yeah, so last week, the Seahawks went into Atlanta and whooped the Falcons' ass 37-8. Had a rough first half offensively. At the end of the first half, the game was tied 6-6. But then the Seahawks offense kind of came alive. It all started with a Rashid Shaheed kick return touchdown, and then they kind of never looked back. Final score again, 37-9. Just had a good game, kicked their ass. Defense showed up, was causing turnovers, causing problems for Kirk Cousins. So really good there. Offense got rolling in the second half, so that was awesome. So just kind of the game I've been wanting to see. Obviously going into Atlanta and just kind of taking care of business is how I can put that game. So that was really good. The Seahawks did make a couple moves after that week. They brought back Jaron Reed, Julian Love for that game. Both played. to do that, they had to waive Quentin Bohanna. Unfortunately, Bohanna was then picked up by the Packers, so he's no longer with the team. But good win, impressive. Within those last couple of weeks, it's been really good defensively. So that was really cool. And then after the game, they also announced that their running backs coach Kennedy Palomalu, who is the uncle of Troy Polamalu, is stepping away for personal reasons. I'm not really sure anything there. Not going to speculate at all. Unfortunate. Hope everything goes well for him. Maybe he comes back. I'm not really sure what the plan is. I do know that he's not coming back this season. So unfortunate, but kind of just have to move. This is where we're at in the NFL season. Don't have time to dwell on things. You just kind of gotta keep on keeping on. So yeah, last week really good. This week we won. We won. So I can't be too upset. I can't be too angry. But we beat the Colts 18-16. So pretty low scoring. The problem is the Colts had Philip fucking Rivers at quarterback. Grandpa out here, 44 years old, probably only re-signing the NFL so that he can get that extension on his insurance, which is an actual thing, and it's a little funny because I think that's what a lot of people are kind of theorizing as to why he did come back. For those of you who don't know, the NFL has its own insurance, health insurance and stuff. And then once you retire, you get 5 years. Once that 5 years is up, it's on you. Well, this was Philip Rivers' 5th year out of the league, and now that he's played again, he gets another 5 years. And when you're Philip Rivers and have 10 kids and grandkids and a family like that, probably smart, probably an intelligent decision. So go him for kind of gaming the system, but also, why was this game close? Yeah. Beating this Colts team by 2 points is simply not good enough. The offense was not good enough. They pretty much sucked. It was really hard to watch. The run game was bad for the vast majority of the game. They were struggling to block. They were struggling to literally do anything. At one point, they had a string of 3 plays where they got a negative run, negative run, negative run, and it was just the most pathetic thing you've ever seen. No blocking was taking place. Nothing good was happening. So they went into the second half down as the Colts did score a touchdown. I want to say it was 13-9 going into the half. So Seahawks were still in it, but simply they weren't playing good enough in that first half. The offense was terrible. The defense, I think the defense had a specific game plan in mind going into it, and then it turned very quickly into a different kind of game. So the defense really did have to adjust. I think once we came out of the half, I think the defense adjusted and really just kind of clamped down on what the Colts offense wanted to do. So that was good. And then the offense still wasn't good, but was at least moving the football better in the second half. Didn't find the end zone at all in the game. Had 6 field goals. So it wasn't great in the second half. It wasn't even really good, but they were at least moving the football. They were getting into field goal range. Myers was at least making the kicks. So that's good. JSN, I thought, was good in this game, as pretty much per usual. Rashid Shaheed, I thought, had actually a really good game. I thought he was pretty involved in the pass game. So that was pretty nice to see. I think we're starting to get there with him in the offense. But simply not finding the end zone against this team with the injuries they've had, with DeForest Buckner out, Charvarius Ward out, and Sauce Gardner out. That's their 2 starting corners and their best defensive player. You simply had to do better, so it was really frustrating for that. I think something that really tells the story is Sam Darnold had 9 play-action dropbacks in the game. That's not a lot for what this team wants to be. But on those 9, he went 5 for 8 for 92 yards. Included in that is a drop from JSN that would have been probably a 20, 25-yard gain. Bad drop from JSN, but not something that you expect to happen very often. I can't really blame JSN. It's his first drop of the season. He's been really reliable. I don't think that's going to be a problem, and it's just unfortunate that it happened in that moment. And then Brady Russell had a really bad drop as well on a little dump off that he probably would have gained 10-ish yards on. It was nothing crazy, but it's still a drop that kind of ruined a drive. And then he also had a 4-yard scramble in there. But they only went to it once in the first half. That's unacceptable for what the Colts were going into this game. To only run play action one time in the first half is simply unacceptable when that is something your team is built around and your team is very good at. And clearly, when you ran it in the second half, it was working. They were moving the football. You were getting good plays. You were finding JSN. You were finding Shaheed. You were at least moving the football. So didn't love that. Did like the adjustment at least after the pathetic first half there. But in my opinion, I think this was one of Kubiak's worst games of the season. I just didn't love his game plan going into it. It was very much, for whatever reason, we're going to run the football, and we're not going to try to play action. We're not going to try to throw it on this team who, once again, were missing their top 2 corners. And I think that is very important to mention because this team was not very good guarding the pass to begin with, and then they were down their top 2 corners. You have one of the best wide receivers in football, and you have a very good field stretcher in Rashid Shaheed, and we're not throwing the football. I just don't get that decision-making process. But I do think they did at least kind of adjust in the second half. Still wasn't good enough, but they did at least make a small adjustment that seemed to be working okay. Defensively, they were fine. I didn't think they played their best game of the season. They definitely didn't play their worst. They went out there, they played well. I think the one thing we failed to get Phillip Rivers credit for is he's at least calming presence on the offensive line. He does know football very well. He knows what he's looking at. He knows how to kind of get into the right play at times, and he knows kind of what he's looking at, what he's looking for, and he's not afraid to take a check down. So I think that's kind of where Seattle struggled on defense, is Rivers was kind of able to control the offense a little more than I thought he was going to be able to, being out for 5 years. But I mean, that is kind of what he was good at when he played. So I'm not that surprised that he was able to do it that well and be that kind of.
He's always been a very above the shoulders kind of quarterback.
Yeah.
Not being able to throw it more than 5 yards, though, I think is a problem.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about why that pissed me off. Because we did reach a point in this game where I thought Seattle was playing back for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why we were expecting deep balls in this game. I didn't get it. There was so much cushion, I feel like, in this game. And you could hear it in the announcers. I don't know how Seattle didn't adjust to start trying to sit on these short routes and these short throws to go try to get picks. I don't know why that wasn't a bigger part of the game plan. I don't know if that was McDonald overthinking it, if this was kind of just we want to put this together as our game plan, and it just wasn't what we expected. I don't
never
know.
Adjusted.
We did kind of adjust. We just weren't getting the interceptions, but I do think a lot of it was Rivers just didn't push the ball down the field. I think he had 3 passes that traveled to 10-plus yards. To be fair, one of them was, I think, the touchdown throw. One of them was that pretty nice back shoulder throw late in the game that got them into field goal range with the chance. Got them into field goal range towards the end of the game that let them take the lead. So, I mean, I didn't feel like Rivers was bad, but this was pretty much what you could expect. He was held to very little yards, had a touchdown, had an interception. The interception was at the end of the game. It was a good play from Witherspoon to tip it, and then Bryant got the interception to seal it. Really like that. But I think all in all, the defense, what they really struggled with was covering the running back out of the backfield. I thought the Colts were killing us all day on just getting their running backs into the middle of the field into like on a linebacker and just finding them for easy chunk plays where you would throw it 2 yards, but then they get like 6 to 10. So didn't love that. Um, I think that was kind of a product of playing a little back, playing a little off. It gave them the space they needed. I think that was something with the game plan that I didn't love. The one nice thing I can take away from this game is the Seahawks really did hold Jonathan Taylor and the running backs to very little on the ground game. So that was something I took a really positive. This is a really good rushing offense. That is a great O line. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in the league. Is probably the best running back this season. So it was really good to hold him. The Seahawks had another game where they did not allow a rusher over 100 yards. I think they now are the team with the longest streak in the NFL with that, so that's good. Um, Overall, it wasn't a bad defensive performance. I just think people were going into it with the expectations of Philip Rivers doesn't have it anymore, and I don't think he does. But I think people had unrealistic expectations of what the Seahawks were going to be able to do on defense with that. Don't get me wrong, I think allowing a touchdown is not great. But at the end of the day, this is still a NFL offense with really talented players. Even if Philip Rivers isn't the best quarterback, he at least does still know how to get a team in the right plays at the right time to just kind of get the ball down the field enough to give them a shot at it. So, don't get me wrong, I do think this went worse than I would have liked, but I think we were all going into it with an unrealistic expectation of what could have happened in this game. That being said, the offense was not good enough. They're very lucky that Jason Myers and the special teams had their back. Myers went 6 for 6 on field goals, was great. Had some good kickoffs to help kind of alleviate field position. Dixon, I thought, was fine when he had a punt. I think special teams as a whole kind of helped win the game. Rashid Shaheed had the big return to get the Seahawks set up for that game-winning field goal. Myers obviously hit the game-winning field goal. I think special teams deserves this game. Like, they are the ones that won this game for the Seahawks. Defensively, you would have liked them to do more. Offensively, you would have absolutely wanted them to do more. That was kind of, in my opinion, one of their worst offensive performances of the season. It needs to be better for when they go up against the Rams. It just has to be better. They will not beat the Rams with that kind of offensive performance. So yeah, for my offensive player of the game, I went with Jason Myers because he's the only motherfucker that did anything on offense. He accounted for all 18 points, went 6 for 6 on field goals. So no, he does not play offense, but he was the offensive production for the game. So thank you, Myers, for at least making your field goals. And then for
Realizing I completely forgot to do player of the games, so there's that.
Yeah. And then for my defensive player of the game, I'm going Nick Emenwari. I thought he had a really good game, was flying around the ball, had some really good tackles on Jonathan Taylor in space, which is really hard to do. Had a good pass breakup. I think we're starting to see Emenwari really take off as a rookie and be this impactful is really nice and really impressive. So love to see that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the game. Glad the Seahawks got the win. Obviously, it's hard to win in this league, so a win is a win. We'll take it where we can get it. But they have to be better for this upcoming week. I think that's pretty much as simply as I can put it. Really quickly, a couple bits of news to get through. The Seahawks waived Shaquille Griffin and Cam Akers prior to the game. They both cleared waivers. They were re-signed to the practice squad. That helped them set up bringing back Eric Saubert, Jalen Sundell, and Riley Mills off of IR or PUP. So all three of them played in the game. All three of them were involved in the game. They also had to put rookie tight end Elijah Arroyo onto IR with that knee injury. It's unfortunate. He is a second round rookie. He has not been as impactful this year as I would have liked. So hopefully, when he comes back from this knee injury next year, he can kind of up his usefulness and his impact for the team. But overall, I think bringing those three guys back, Eric Saubert really helped in the run game. Sundell struggled at center. I don't know if that's just because he came back. I'm not really sure. And then Riley Mills, this was his first career game, and I thought he had a rough one. Was kind of getting pushed off the ball a little bit. Not that surprised. He only played like 7 snaps, so it's not the worst thing. It was kind of a nice thing just to get his feet wet in the NFL, but not a great game from him. Next thing is the Seahawks don't normally give out contract extensions during the season, but they did give out one to Eric Saubert. They're bringing him back on a 1-year contract for next year. I think this is a pretty smart move. He's a really good veteran. Seems to be that kind of leader in that tight end room and then in the locker room. Good special teamer. Kind of someone you just kind of want around. So if you can bring him in on a cheap 1-year contract, I think that makes sense for the future. So don't mind that move. We did get some news on Torrey Horton. It's kind of sketchy on whether he's going to come back this season. When Mike McDonald was talking about it, it seems like he has not hit the marks they want him to at this point with that shin injury. So we'll kind of see what that means for him coming back. It does not sound like he is particularly close. So we'll see if in the playoffs he gets cleared to come back. The Seahawks were relatively healthy coming out of the game. There was one injury, and it kind of sucks. Charles Cross, the left tackle, tweaked a hamstring on that game-winning field goal and then did not play the last snap. He has already been ruled out for the game against LA, so really unfortunate. Josh Jones is going to take his place at left tackle. That could be a really big miss for this game. Cross has been playing pretty well. Not something you want to see. Hopefully this isn't a really long-term thing, but it is a hamstring, and hamstrings can be kind of hit or miss right now. So kind of wait and see with that. Hopefully it's not too major. I do think he is a very important piece for them to have if they want to have success deep in the playoffs. And then the last kind of bit of news is they waived D'Anthony Bell today, or yesterday. He cleared waivers today, so he's back on the practice squad. That's really good. I did not think he was going to clear waivers. He's a really good special teamer, really good depth safety. Was really hoping that he was coming back to the practice squad. They thankfully did manage to sneak him through, so that made me happy. And then the last thing to time out is we're going to give Jason Myers some more love because he's had a fantastic couple weeks, had a fantastic season. He currently leads the NFL in most points scored, and then he's also only 8 field goals away from breaking the single season made field goals record. So pretty interesting. We hope that, don't get me wrong, I hope he gets it, but I also kind of hope he doesn't, because I would rather turn those field goals into touchdowns, but at the end of the day, he's at least making his field goals. You want to keep that up. If he does break the record, that would be awesome in a way, but it could also be kind of a detriment to the Seahawks. So we'll kind of see.
Do you think if they're up in games, they may take field goals over touchdowns to try and push that?
I think at this point, they need to start focusing on getting better because they have not found the end zone as consistently as I would like. So I kind of need them. I would assume they're going to take the approach of we need to start dialing it in going into the postseason on offense. So I don't think so unless they are winning games by quite a margin.
A large margin.
It would be a cool thing. I just don't think at this point they're going to sacrifice a winning for that. Is I think the best way I can put it. So, kind of wait and see. That's kind of it for the Seahawks this week. Obviously, they're on a short week going against the Rams. So, I'll talk a little bit about the game when we get to our looking ahead to next week. I won't do a preview video, but I'll kind of do a mini preview for it. But yeah, that's it for the Seahawks.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it was a good game. It was.
It was a game. It was played.
Yeah, it was on. It had my attention because of Phillip Rivers and the storyline, but I really did kind of expect y'all to put them away early. Look, the Colts have been a good team, but they are missing so much of their secondary. They have Grandpa at quarterback. I don't know if the Seahawks really took their foot off the gas for this one.
I'm not sure.
With the Rams coming up, but this is not going to be good enough.
No.
They've been a really good team. I think they have the ability, especially with the things going on for the Eagles and now the injuries to the Packers. I think there's a really good chance to take the NFC, but you have to play better than this.
I will say they have their own destiny. They control their own destiny. If they win out, they win the NFC and they win the division. But they have to win out.
So
it does start with Thursday, so we'll kind of have to.
And when you get to the playoffs, you got to do better than this.
Yeah. It just has to be better.
It was a game, but take the wins where you can get them.
Yeah. Again, not easy to win in this league, so take it while you can.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we will move on to our games of the week. I had the Bills versus the Patriots, a division game. Yes, I had watched both of those teams play already, but at this point in the season, I'm not watching teams that are mathematically eliminated. Like the way I don't fucking care. The playoffs is what's relevant. That's what we're going to be focusing on, is teams in the playoffs and fighting for playoff spots. The Patriots went into this game with the ability to lock up the AFC East and potentially the 1 seed in the AFC. They done fucked that up, honestly. They went into the second half 21-0. The Patriots were destroying the Bills. The Bills then went on a 5-touchdown run and held the Patriots to 10 points in the second half.
Yeah.
I would give credit to the Patriots had it been a back and forth and the Bills just came out on top. But you let off your age, your inexperience showed. And Drake May, for as accomplished as he's been and as well as he has played this season, has not led a fourth quarter comeback or a fourth quarter winning drive. That is something you have to be able to do in this league. These games happen. They had a chance. They had the ball back with a chance to win, and they couldn't put it away. This was a Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things. I understand the first half looked rough. But when you kind of decide to sit back, you allow these things to happen from great quarterbacks. So, I don't think it was a good game. I know the score says it was. I know the score says it was competitive. It wasn't. The Patriots ran away with it. And then when they let off the gas, it was the Bills through and through. So, unfortunately, it does mean for the Patriots the AFC East is still up for grabs. It also means now the Broncos are currently the 1 seed in the AFC. So, for as an important week as that was, you see the age in not attacking it through 4 quarters, because that's clearly what happened.
It was a rough second half.
Yeah. They are playing a team next week fighting for their lives. So you're going to have to get your mentality right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with a young quarterback, you need that going into the playoff.
100%.
So, I mean, it was good football. It just wasn't a great game, and it was not competitive.
Yeah, I think unfortunately it would have been better again had it kind of been back and forth and that been the final score. But considering that it was very much a tale of two halves, it kind of
it was very much that, and it shows you the difference.
Yeah.
The Bills didn't let up. The Patriots did. That team won.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though the Bills weren't succeeding, they were giving 4 quarters of football.
Yeah, they stayed
and that
with
team
it.
will always win. So,
yeah.
It was a decent game, just not very competitive.
And then for my game of the week, I went with Denver Green Bay. Obviously, as we mentioned, this game has kind of propelled Denver into that number 1 seed in the AFC. They've been great. They've won 11 in a row. At this point, they've been fantastic. Kind of the storyline out of this game is unfortunate. It being like all the injuries the Packers suffered in this game, which it was a lot. I will be fair, and like obviously Micah Parsons going out in this game sucks. But I thought Denver played really well. They got to Jordan Love when it mattered. The offense was working. Bo Nix looked really good in this game. The rushing game did enough at times. So I think Denver really is a good team and is probably deserving of being number 1 in the AFC. Even with, I know people are still doubting Denver, which I think is ridiculous at this point. They're 12-1. Yeah, they're 12-2. They've been one of the best teams all year. Like I don't know how you can be doubting this team still. I get it. Some of their wins haven't looked great. It's been kind of ugly, but they're still winning football games, and they're doing it in all kinds of ways. So you have to give credit where credit is due. The Broncos are a great team right now, and it's that simple. On Green Bay's side, really unfortunate. I'm not going to say the story of the game would have changed. I don't think the result of the game would have changed had Micah not gotten hurt. But it's really unfortunate that kind of not put an end to your season, but I think dashes a lot of their hopes going forward. I think Micah was so important to what the team was doing. It was going to be so important to what that team was going to do come the postseason. I do think that kind of makes their division push a little harder. The Bears are still leading that division, which is just insane to say.
Yep.
But we'll kind of see. The Bears and the Packers play this week. We'll see if the Packers can kind of come out, show a little fire, but it will be really tough without Micah, and we'll kind of have to see Jordan Love and that offense kind of have to carry this defense, which I won't say they haven't been doing, but it's kind of been more of a 50-50 split for the Packers this year. So it'll be interesting to see if Jordan Love and that offense can really kind of carry the burden the rest of the way, because I'm not sure this defense has what it takes anymore without Micah and without some of the injuries they've suffered. I don't like the Packers' chances at this point.
No, that's fair. I mean, for the Broncos side of it, I think we're finally seeing Peyton give more freedom to Bo Nix. I think he's playing some of the best football of his career right now, not just fourth quarter, not just final drives. It's all around really good football, and he's playing really well. And this is the quarterback that I think Broncos fans expected when he was drafted. As a Broncos fan, this is what I've been waiting for. And this is the quarterback I've been waiting damn near a decade.
It's over
a decade for.
Yeah,
So it's been phenomenal to see. I'm loving his evolution. I think you're finally seeing that trust, that real trust
yeah,
between him and Peyton. And Peyton, I think you're seeing a growth. There was always kind of a leash around Breeze, but he had some freedom, and I think we're finally seeing that in Bo, and it's been great. And they're on a heater. They're on a heater
yeah. They're a
for
scary
the
team
pack
at this point. Like,
for for the Packers side of it. Jordan Love is still streaky and can be inconsistent at times. And I think they've had a massive hit to their defense. I think this was the first game you finally saw Golden get involved. Um,
yeah.
and I don't think it's good
So
enough.
I've decided Jordan Love has the worst throwing mechanics I've ever seen. Not really. That's a bit of a hyperbole, but like watching him throw the football sometimes just
It's
pisses
awkward as
me off
shit.
because it's like every play he's trying to throw a fadeaway, and it's like, dude, there's a
Yeah, just
reason.
throw the ball.
There's a reason some of his passes come up pretty short. Like,
Yeah,
there's a reason
yeah,
that pick from Sertan, he caught it short of where the receiver was. Like, when Jordan Love isn't putting everything behind it, that's what happens. And these fadeaways and these bad throwing mechanics from your, like, essentially waist down, where you're, again, throwing a fadeaway, like, that's, I think, why he's so inconsistent. Is when you see
yeah,
him not on the fadeaways, not with these kind of rough mechanics, it actually looks really good. And he looks competent, and they're like doing well offensively. And then he'll have these moments where he throws those fadeaways, and it gets him into a lot of trouble. So I'm still out. I'm still not sure on Jordan Love right now, but he's got to get better with that specific thing because there are times where it really does hurt the Packers and the team.
yeah. I think you've put it almost perfectly. Is it's not just that it's a little off. Like Patrick Mahomes has kind of weird throwing mechanics, but he has so many different arm angles, so many different ways that he makes the football travel. And he does that and he changes it for how he's throwing the ball. Jordan Love does not change how he's throwing the ball at any point, and it's limiting him and it's creating mistakes.
Because, yeah, like, I think the amount of times we've seen him throw interceptions that were just short of where the receiver was or where the receiver's going, like, that's because you're throwing a fadeaway. You're not putting your body behind it. You're not putting the proper mechanics behind it. Like,
Yeah,
and you're leaving yards on the table. So
absolutely.
I think that needs to be improved.
I agree. I agree. I think when you look at how those teams played, the Broncos were the better team at every point. They had the better quarterback, they had the better defense,
Yeah,
they had the more efficiently run offense. They were
yeah,
just the better team. And without the Chiefs in the playoffs, you're going to have a hard time finding a team better than them at any or every point
yeah. Because
if they continue to play like this.
they're really scary. They're, again, their defense can hide a lot of problems on offense, and then their offense can get it done when they need to, and that's what makes
Absolutely.
them terrifying. So
Definitely. Definitely. Alrighty. Well, we will move on to other thoughts this week, other games, other things you found interesting. I had just like little thoughts kind of across the board. I thought we saw JJ McCarthy's kind of best game.
Agreed.
Um, I I was listening to the broadcast, right? Because it's Sunday Night Football, and they interview teams a lot before they go into it. They talk about conversations they've had. I thought the conversations that were had about and with JJ McCarthy were very interesting. Um, because at no point did they seem to be about JJ McCarthy. They seem to be about Justin Jefferson. And he is a great wide receiver. I'm not going to say he's not. But the chemistry isn't quite there yet.
Yeah, I thought I saw.
He seems to have it better with his tight ends, with Jordan Addison. But there is like a force, like forcing him from the rest of the team and the coaching staff to have to get Jefferson the ball. And I think that's coming with an unnecessary amount of pressure and strife.
And I think if you just let it happen naturally, he'd probably find Jefferson a lot more.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, Jefferson is one of the best wide receivers in football. He's going to be open a lot.
Yeah.
So let's not try to predetermine and force it. Let's just let it happen and see where we get.
They say they're friends. They say they get along. You'll find very few quarterbacks that don't
truly
say that.
Get along.
But let's just chill. JJ McCarthy is very young. He's had very little starting time in the NFL. I think there's clear talent there.
He's had very little starting time, period.
But
going back into college.
Just chill. Yeah. I think if he's going to be the guy moving forward, at some point you have to give the offense to him, not Jordan Jefferson. And why the fuck do I keep doing that? You have to give the offense to him and not Justin Jefferson. And I think right now, it is not JJ's team, and it is not JJ's offense. It is Jefferson's. And I think that's a problem.
It's definitely creating some interesting problems.
Final. I didn't really have any other thoughts, honestly, because everything was a blowout. What the fuck is going on with the Bucks? Anyone want to tell me?
Yeah,
what the problem is there?
I think I don't know. I think Baker isn't right. I think this is very similar to his last season with the Browns. Where he has like that shoulder problem. And he's just not healthy, and it's just kind of creating all of these issues. Because he just doesn't look right. He doesn't look the same as he did earlier in the season. I also think there is, I don't want to say an effort issue, but I think there's other issues at play. It's not help. Yeah. I don't think Todd Bowles is a high quality NFL head coach. And then I don't think it helps going onto the podium the way he did this week. And truthfully, I mean, like, his podium appearance after the game was pretty entertaining to watch, but also I don't know if that is the appropriate way to react and to go about this. I get it, you're the head coach and you're trying to rally your troops, but cursing out everybody on the team in the podium, probably not the best. I think that is something you should probably do behind closed doors. But I get it. I don't know if I think that team right now is kind of having a effort issue in a way. I think there are a lot of things happening there. And it's just kind of rough for the Buccaneers right now. They're still not out of it. They're still
and they started off so strong.
Yeah,
It's just fallen off a cliff.
yeah. It's. I'm not sure what to point to, and I don't think there's one thing to point to. But something tells me that this is probably going to be Bowles' last season as head coach, just with the way it's going. And I'll be intrigued to see what they decide to do going forward with the decisions they have to make on that roster.
Yeah.
Because, like, Mike Evans isn't young, Chris Godwin isn't young.
I
Baker's
mean,
really
they just gave him an extension.
yeah, Baker's really struggling this season. Um, I don't think the right move would be to move on from Baker, but you have to
No.
start thinking ahead and maybe getting younger at multiple positions. And then defensively, they just simply have not been good enough. Um, and that is
No,
Todd Bowles' side of the football. And when you're the head coach and your side of the football is lacking that much, it's
there's
tough.
only one place to look.
It's tough.
That's often why head coaches get fired.
Yeah.
Often.
So we'll be
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. It's been a struggle these last few weeks. We'll see if they can get it turned around. Yeah, the rest of the league this week, a lot of blowouts.
blowouts.
Nothing super exciting.
Yeah, like
So
it was blowouts or teams that don't matter.
We will look ahead to next week.
Yeah.
We will start with a little bit of news. The Ravens were flexed into Sunday Night Football. They were originally supposed to be the Sunday afternoon game with Bengals Dolphins being the Sunday night game.
Well, no shit. They got flexed out.
Yeah, they were flexed out. And the Ravens Patriots were made the Sunday night game.
That I think was the logical choice. Just looking at
it. Both teams are fighting for something. Interestingly enough, the Ravens are favored. Actually, if you were to bet this game,
I think that's because they're the home team. But
they are the home team, but it gets you about 2-3 points. It's still the Patriots and what they've been this year, and the Ravens have not played well at home this year, so I'm a little confused by that. Look, this is a win and go home game. That's where the Ravens are at. They need to basically win out. Unless the Steelers are going to magically lose their next 3, the Ravens need to win. And Ravens mentality, all of the press conferences from their players, they are not thinking about, well, maybe the Steelers could lose. They need to win. That is their mentality going into this week and the weeks following. So yeah, they are now the Sunday night game.
Yeah, that seems like I think the only other game I think you would have considered flexing would have been Broncos Jaguars. But I do think
that could have been a good game.
Baltimore does have more to play for, I think, and so do New England because of that loss to the Bills. So, I think that was the logical choice.
And usually, not to discredit Jacksonville or anything like that. When you think about the Ravens at their best, that's very entertaining football. You know, Lamar's electric. Yeah. The defense is knocking people's heads off. That's an entertaining football. So I get it. And Baltimore at night is always a fun time. It's always a good time. Yeah. It's going to be cold as shit, I'm sure. But, yeah, I understand it. Just, yeah, so they are now the Sunday night game. It's also the first flex of the season.
Yeah, which is crazy, but yeah. Well, the Seahawks are also a primetime game, but they are, as I've said multiple times, the Thursday night game at home against the Rams. This game is wildly important for both teams. I think I was looking at it. If the Rams win, they pretty much win the division. I think they have like a 93% chance to win the division at that point. If the Seahawks win, it drastically changes both ways. Seahawks win, they would be favored to win the division. So this game is big. It's possibly the biggest game of the season for both of these teams to this point. Obviously, the Rams got the better of the Seahawks earlier in the season. Um, this game's at home. You got the crowd. I do think weather is going to play a huge role in this game. I want to say I know the Pacific Northwest is getting absolutely hammered by wind and rain. So I would expect tomorrow for the game, expect it to be windy and rainy in Seattle. So that could bode well for the Rams. I do think they are better suited to have that kind of game, but it's kind of a wait and see. Um, weather is the great equalizer in sports. So we'll kind of see what the weather holds. Currently, Seattle is the favorite at 1.5 points. So kind of tells you what you need to know. Most of what I've seen has this as like a 50-50 toss-up game, and I agree. I think it's going to just be a slugfest. Darnold can't throw 4 interceptions in this game. I think if the Seahawks can limit turnovers, this sounds cliche, limit turnovers, be able to just kind of keep possession of the football for a little bit, and not have stupid mistakes, they'll win this game. I'm expecting this to be a really good game, and I hope it is. I'm kind of terrified, but this is going to be one of the most important games of the season, point blank period, because I think this is for not only the division, the conference. This game means a ton to both teams, so it's going to be a great game, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, my game of the week is going to be Pittsburgh at Detroit. Pittsburgh is kind of the only team I care about right now. I understand that that's a narrow view, but I did not expect my playoff hopes to be hanging in the balance going into this season. If you had asked me at the beginning of this year which AFC team would be fighting to the death to be getting into the playoffs, I would have never. There are 4 options, and it would have taken me 6 to get to the Ravens. While the Ravens are in control of their destiny, I would really like a loss from Pittsburgh here. So that is kind of where my focus is. I also want to see if the way this team is playing, it can be sustained. It's hard to know from last week because they were playing the Dolphins. You know what I mean? Like it's only so accurate. So I want to see how they stack up versus Detroit. If any business decisions are made. I just want to see where they're at because right now all they need to do to win is to beat the Ravens. So this is really the only game I care about at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they play 1:25 Pacific time, 4:25 Eastern Sunday.
Yeah. Before I do my game of the week, there has been a little bit of news on the Seahawks game. Okay. The Rams flight has been delayed. And apparently, it's been delayed significantly.
Oh, shit.
It's an equipment issue with the plane. They are working on alternative travel currently. So, kind of see what that means. This could be rough. Not really sure. Especially because I know the weather is going to start turning here soon in Seattle. So not sure what that means. Because I think if they get delayed too long, they're going to start having a weather delay issue with flights. So I don't really know what that means. And I don't know what happens if the Rams can't make it there
Yeah,
type thing.
I don't.
I
I
don't
have
really
no idea.
know what the NFL will do. So
I almost wonder if they just become a Sunday game
I wonder if they
or
become
like a
Friday.
Friday. Yeah, like if they're like, all right, now it's Friday.
So I guess we'll see what happens. Um, my assumption is they'll get on the road and we'll be fine. But this delay will affect the Rams. It will throw off the schedule. It is already a short week. And this already is kind of throwing more issues onto their schedule. So, kind of wait and see there. Um, After that, my game of the week, I am picking the Saturday night game between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. The game is 5:20 Pacific, 8:20 Eastern. This game, I do believe, is for that division at this point. I think kind of the winner of that game sets themselves up to go win that division. So I think this will be a very interesting game. Um, I think this is going to be pretty much a playoff game. Both of these teams don't really like each other. Division rival
Yeah,
for the division. I expect this to be a very competitive, very good game. We'll kind of see where the Packers are without Micah and kind of some of the other injuries I think they've suffered. So just kind of a interesting game with some interesting playoff implications.
yeah. Should be a great game as well as the Bears have been playing since the bye week.
Yeah.
It's been impressive. Caleb has played better. He's looked better. For all of my criticisms, I think we've seen a massive turnaround, and a lot of that credit goes to their new head coach.
Yeah.
So should be a great game. It is the first week we have Saturday games, and
Yeah.
as we get into kind of the rest of the season, that will happen more and more.
Yes. So should be good.
Alrighty. Well, I think that does it for the NFL. Did
Yeah.
you watch any other sports, any random sports?
No.
No. Okay.
It's been
Um, okay. I'm still watching women's hockey,
fair.
and their Vancouver's women's team is much better than the men's. I'll say that.
That's okay. I mean, it doesn't take a lot. Okay, that's a very low bar.
It's a low bar. It's a low bar.
But good for
that's
them.
pretty much been it. That's pretty much been it.
I've been pretty much watching a ton of hockey. Have mixed a little bit of basketball in there. It's been pretty much that. I think my random sports will take off once we get to the Olympics.
Definitely.
So that's where we're at. Well, if that's
understandable.
Yeah. Well, if that's it, I think that does it for us this week. Unless you had anything else.
I don't believe so.
All right. Well, make sure like, subscribe, comment. Let us know pretty much anything. Is your team still in playoff contention? Who do you think's going to the college football playoffs? Who do you think's going to win it? What do you think's going to happen there? And what do you think about the NHL season so far? Has it gone how you expected it? Are you kind of excited? Let us know where you're at with any sport. With all that being said, I've been Brendan.
And I've been Dallas.
And this has been Floxnet Sports Podcast. Thank y'all.